We have moved past Lockjaw, and we're now just 3 fights away from the giant nut. The team that stands in our way next is huge. A machine designed specifically to take out robots just like Witch Doctor. What did we change? How did we prep? And how did it go for us?
I make it a point to ask Rick every day, are we to the hard part? And he's said,
we're on the threshold of the hard part.
If we win the next match, we're to the hard part.
See, that's what
Rick, are we to the hard part?
Not yet, but we're awfully close.
Getting through every match is a challenge. The hard part that Rick is always telling me about is when we get far enough in the tournament, suddenly you find yourself having to prepare for 2 fights a day. That is the hard part. For big fights like this, not only do we have to come up with a plan, but we also give insight to our ringside commentators, Kenny and Chris, so they know exactly what we're going through.
That's hard when you've been short your whole life.
We can get hit. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like trying to fight Chris Rose, you know?
Can't reach him.
Yeah,
there
you go. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere, though. You know where I am. Well, no. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a tough fight. I have to be really patient, which, you know, I'm really good at. I'm like super patient.
What all did we have to do to prepare for this next one? This is quarterfinals we're preparing for now?
Yeah, we're preparing for the quarterfinals against Huge. We spent the day going through a bunch of brainstorming and ideas on what configurations we could use to make the match against him a little bit easier. And we decided it was all too risky. We're preparing for a 3-minute judge's decision possibly, since it's so hard to knock out Huge. We don't want to give any extra damage points because we put something cute on it that he's going to rip off. So we settled on adding more screws to our top armor to make sure it stays on, and go with our thickest top armor and hope that Mike can outdrive Jonathan.
We are reinforcing the way our ribs are mounted. So typically we put 2 like 5/16 bolts in for our ribs, but since we're fighting Huge, we put 3/8 16 inserts in.
Slap at the baby.
So if you see Mike, watch.
Slap at the baby.
You hammer those guys in.
Hammer them right in there. Put a little bit of cheese curds on the backside there.
And then we take a fancy tool that expands the back out.
Expands it out.
Oh, these are rib nuts?
Yep. But they're hex shaped, but we don't have the hex insert, so we're just putting them in a round hole and sending it to the moon.
Oh, using a hex bit to like basically broach it?
No, it just
That's what we're doing.
No, it's just expanding a hex thing into a round hole. And these ones, instead of like a rib nut, have like a spline. They're hex shaped, and typically you cut out a hex shaped hole, but we don't have that. So
well, that's what I meant by Curtis was broaching the hole.
No, that was him just knocking the other ones out.
Oh.
And so right now, Curtis is using his phone in like a periscope mode to watch the insert get pulled to tell Mike when to stop.
Would it just like ruin the fastener by going too far?
It just crushes itself.
The top armor for Witch Doctor protects our internal components, and it has now been secured with 4 times as much strength. Protecting our weapon motors is important as well.
Like, it's gonna come down into that.
To keep it from actually jamming the motor.
Yeah. I wonder if we should still slice this back to our shim up, and this has to cave even farther before it even hits that.
Are we doubling up on the brushless motor cover?
Yep, trying to figure out how to protect these as much as possible before the fight. Yeah, we're concerned about vertical hits down.
Like in any fighting sport, as I'm sure UFC legend Kenny Florian would tell us, faking out your opponent can be one of the best strategies to lead to a victory. BattleBots is actually not that different. You will frequently see robots covered in tarps or blankets to obscure a secret weapon, or at least make your opponent think you might have a secret weapon.
That looks so ridiculous.
This might cause your opponent to make a change to their configuration that benefits you. Sometimes, though, this is just plain fun.
A huge surprise.
if you add something wacky or new to your robot, you can be absolutely certain your opponent will be keeping a close eye.
Oh, you don't get to see it until later.
If it detaches that easily, I might have the best news for you.
Eventually, though, we did our way in, queued up for our match, and the gag came to an end. The bar clamp was removed, and we donned the huge eyes for our entrance. What happens next was rough. Like I said, it was really rough.
So in this one tonight, were you shocked that Witch Doctor came right at your blade, right from the onset?
That's amazing. You guys are amazing. You guys rock. Oh, that's like right through the weapon rail.
2 or 3 really good hits. Yeah.
Sheared all the bolts off of the
Yeah, that doesn't roll anymore.
You can see where the blade hits.
Right so here.
Got our guess on the hyper and
Team, I feel good about that. Even
Yeah,
though it was
yeah.
awesome.
We were driving all the way to the end.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Good point. We used to have tabs on that. But the weapon rail is like hella tweaked. Like, look at it.
Oh,
The sticker made it.
I slid it right between the eyes.
Set the
Cracked our pulley right here. There's supposed to be a pulley there.
Come on in. I'm not gonna do anything.
A well-earned judge's decision sends Huge further along in the tournament. Witch Doctor leaves the arena more banged up than ever before, and sends us to the pits for the last time this season. The carnage is something to behold. Our friends at Hypershock looked things over upon our return. Many other teams came by to take stock of the wreckage. Aaron Hill from Blip, the entire crew from Death Roll, and many more. So how about a damage report?
Okay, here we go. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
That's a lot of damage.
The most obvious item on the list is the one half of our rib armor, which was violently ejected from the robot into the rafters. That piece is done for. The right side chain guard also was obliterated to the point that it took us actual hours and a plethora of tools to free it. A really important side note though, the chain guard held up to its end of the deal. The chain drive was protected, and we were able to drive the entire rest of the match. Good job, chain guard. You did wonderfully. All 4 wheels took some damage, but the back right one, that one's donezo. That one we would not be reusing if we had another match. Doubling up on the covers over the brushless motors proved to be useful, since at least one of them started to get peeled back. The leading front parts of the frame are kind of like semicircles now. They're definitely not straight. Neither are the bunny ears, or the weapon rails, or the weapon shaft. How bent are they? I'll tell you, good citizen, they're so bent that all the king's horses and all the king's men could not get the shaft out of the frame again. Speaking of the weapon, I'm not sure if the weapon's straight anymore either. The weapon bearings are exploded or otherwise missing. The left side weapon rail is missing a significant bit of mass. At this intersection where the side and the front frame rails come together, sort of like a wavy line. Unlike the right chain guard, the left chain guard is still attached, albeit with a few gouges, but it's still here. The self-rider got bent up pretty bad, and the chain that drives it was no longer attached. All in all, Witch Doctor stood up against Huge, and the drive system lasted the full 3 minutes. It looks pretty rough, but we're proud of what we were able to pull off. There are still several fights before a new champion is announced. In between our attempts to disassemble Witch Doctor and pack up our pit, we enjoyed watching our friends compete and celebrated how far we made it. What lies ahead for Team Witch Doctor? We are going to evaluate what went well and what we can improve on. We're going to look for new strategies and evaluate new technology. And when the time comes for World Championship 8, we'll be there.
All right, everyone. Well, that's the wrap on Season 7 of BattleBots for us here at Witch Doctor. We hope you've had fun following us through the last few weeks. We had a lot of fun being here. Big congratulations to our friends at Sawblades for winning the championship. And with that, make sure you follow us because we're going to put out more content in the off-season. We'll see you there. Bye. Do it again!